And we're going to wrap up our media availabilities now. We're joined by Dale Earnhardt Jr., the driver of the number 88 Exalta Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Dale, you're bringing the Junior Nation Appreciation Tour here to the Glen. Can you talk a little bit about what it's been like to interact with fans throughout this program?
Yeah, proud of Mike Davis and all the work that folks at Junior Motorsports put into putting together some sort of a campaign that targets what we want to target, and hopefully we're doing a good job of showing the fans how much they mean to my career and to me and the team. And we got a few more stops along the way to make that happen, and it's been great. The fans have been real supportive, and look forward to the rest of the season.
All right, we'll open it up for questions. Good.
Yeah, Larry Ott, the Buffalo News. Dale, TJ Majors comes from the Buffalo area. I've covered him for many years. This is your last race at Watkins Glen with him. Can you comment on what TJ has meant to you both professionally and personally? And thank you.
Well, he was my best man in my wedding, so he means quite a bit to me personally as a friend, and he's a great spotter. I think the best spotter, particularly at the plate tracks. We really complement each other well at those tracks, and that gives me a lot of confidence when I'm out there. He's a guy that has drove a little bit, so he kind of understands what he's seeing, and he's a good person that he's good to talk and bounce stuff off of too, outside the car, and just been real supportive for me. He just had another child this week, and he's an incredible father, so he's setting a good example for me there. Just a really good guy that it's been a lot of fun to work with him, and whoever gets to work with him next year. They're getting somebody that knows what they're doing, and he makes a difference, I think, in how we perform. So he's a compliment to the team for sure.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. With how long that you were out last season, coming into this season, did people maybe have too big expectations for you and performance? And now that you've been back for so long, do you feel like you're where you were at, when you got out of the car a year ago?
I feel like I was ready to go personally, and physically. We've not run good this year at a majority of the races. I don't know if that has anything to do with any individual. It's just you have good years, you have bad years. We just didn't draw the right cards. Just a lot of circumstances have led to the performance of our car this year that you can't really put on one thing. But it's been, as far as just, the frustration on the track is, you want to go out there and run good. It ain't, it isn't where we want it to be. It's, today's been a struggle. We thought we had a great car at Sonoma coming in here. The car's not very good off the truck, making a ton of changes right now. But I don't know what the expectations were. I really don't know what people would have assumed we were capable of. I personally thought I know what our potential is. You look at 2013, 14, 15, that's our potential. And we had been progressing as a team for years through that period. And I expect us to be able to maintain that type of performance. We haven't been able to do it, but I think that's what we're capable of. But for whatever reason, for a lot of reasons, we haven't been able to put it together this year and have the speed that we need in the cars. You see those guys, the 42 really strong all year, the 78, 18. They're in a different world, man. And you know, we want to go out and win races, but it's easy to say that. But damn, man, we got a lot of speed to find. This ain't like we're gonna show up and just, you know, drive around them guys. They're half a second faster than us every week. So we got some work to do before the end of the year if we want to feel like we can legitimately contend for a win. So we had a little speed earlier in the season. I thought we got through Texas, and I felt like, you know, things are where they should be. We've lost a little bit along the way on a few stops. I mean, just losing a little bit here and there, not really finding. We haven't really developed any speed through the season. You know, as we progress through this year, we've sort of not found anything additional to what we had at the start of the year. And a lot of teams have, and we're sort of playing catch up right now.
In the back.
Hi, Dale. Andy from the NBC station here in Elmira. We had a chance to talk to Dr. Jerry Pudge, and obviously the name Earnhardt is synonymous with greatness here at Watkins Glen. One of his best memories here of your dad in the mid-1990s, really winning the pole with a separated shoulder. Can you recall that and the history of Watkins Glen and the significance of it, you know, for your family?
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. A lot of people thought that was a big deal, you know. He's hurt and very, you know, a lot of pain, but must have had a really, really damn good race car that day. You know, he can drive them, but the car had to have been pretty incredible as well. So you gotta give Richard Childress and the guys that were working on that team at the time a lot of credit to give him a car that he could drive. He led a lot of laps in the race, I think, and didn't finish too poorly either. So just another circumstance in his career that defined him as a person and how tough he was. And the Glen, nothing really sticks out otherwise to me about the Glen as far as my father's career. But, you know, obviously our win here in the Xfinity Series was a big deal. Didn't really realize how big a deal it was now that I've run all these years in the Cup Series and realized just how much of a challenge road course racing is, and seen some people do it really, really well. I realized kind of what we really accomplished that day. I didn't realize it then. You know, that was just another win, and we were just, you know, it was a lot happening for us at that particular time. But now that I've been through all these years, knowing how challenging it is to beat some of these guys and how good some of these road course guys are, and some of these Cup regulars have gotten, you know, it's something I'm quite proud of.
Go right over here to the left. Right there.
Steve Evans, Race Chaser Online. Dale, NASCAR has done some simulation work on potentially in the future running the boot here at Watkins Glen. Have you ever been around that, either in personal car, or have you had any thoughts on that over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think it'd be great. You know, I don't think it's an incredible adjustment for anybody, the teams, the fans, the sport. Just adding a little bit more distance to the track, so it's not a major change that I think that would affect the bottom line when it comes to, you know, economics or and it might have actually give a little bit of spark to the people tuning in, so they might kind of, you know, like to see how that goes the first time around. But I think it'd be neat to try it, and it doesn't seem like you'd need a simulation for that. You just kind of go out and do it.
Dustin Albino, frontstretch.com. Dale, when you look at your Xfinity Series team this year, running first through third in the standings, then Michael net down a little bit, who do you view as the biggest competition going into the playoffs?
Yeah, you know, I haven't really looked at the points. Obviously, anybody driving a Gibbs car full-time is going to be competition. Those guys produce incredible equipment, fast cars, and especially as this Chase as this chase shows up, a lot of guys got some parts and pieces on the shelf that they ain't going to run until it's time to win. And you're going to see it at the Xfinity level, truck level, and the Cup level. You're going to see some teams become more competitive. So we're having a great season. I think that we definitely are in the conversation with where our guys are, but you don't take anything for granted. You don't really know what everybody's holding back and what everybody might have in store for themselves going into those last few races. So some of these guys may be, like I say, they may have some performance and speed sitting on the shelf that they're just not willing to run until the time's right. And they also might be trying to develop other ideas and theories within their own setups that, that they're trying to find some advantage before the chase gets here. So I just it seems like the guys that are competitive and even the guys that win the championship in the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, but more so the Cup Series, look at their season, their regular season, they're not the guy. They're not they're not the guy that everybody was talking about. The Jimmy last year, Kyle when he won, they struggled in mid-season summertime. Keselowski when he won the championship, Hendrick cars were beating everybody all through the regular season. I mean, it's just you can't really determine who's going to be strong when it comes down to it. So we're having a great year. I'm glad, but we still. I told the guys after we won Indy, I said we still, we just got to keep our guard up and stay at it, and not think that it's going to be easy.
Right behind you. He's got the mic. The other way.
Tyler had the racing experts. You've had a lot of years of success, but you've also had a couple of trying years. What did you do to get through those years, and are you pulling on any of that this year to point your team in the right direction and say we can still do this?
We had some pretty rough years, and worse years, more difficult years than this season. At least this year, at times we've had some speed. I've had seasons where we had no speed. We run bad and we finish bad. But at least at times this year, there's been some glimpse of potential but I'm not gonna be able to tell my team anything that they don't know. I mean, they understand the reality of the situation and where we are competition wise and performance wise. We just the only thing I've told them is that one of these races we're going to show up and we might have what we need, and for us to be able to win that weekend, we need to be ready mentally. We can't drag our feet into the racetrack on Friday and expect to be on our game on Sunday. We have to go into every race like this is going to be the week that we get it done. I think that's the only attitude you can have if you expect to take advantage of an opportunity, because one might fall in your lap. We just might find what we're looking for before this season's over. But certainly if we miss a chase, we're still going to try to win a race. We're still going to show up and try to give it everything we got. So there's nothing worse than leaving the racetrack feeling like you didn't try your best or didn't give everything you had. And I certainly ain't going to finish my last season like that and carry that with me the rest of my life. So we're going to work hard all the way to the very end, and hopefully we have something to smile about at some point before it's over with.
Jared.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net and PRN. Dale, you're a student of the sport, and what we've seen, what we're hearing about with drivers that are looking for rides and have contracts, may not have a contract for next year, and teams that are talking about cutting back. What is your thoughts on the dynamic of the sport going forward, and what do you see as the major changes that we need to succeed?
I really haven't thought much about what we need. You want to know what changes I think we need to make for? What needs to happen? Sure. I mean, I don't know. Damn, you guys going to be figuring that out before I can. I'll tell you one thing that's new that is good. A lot of these young drivers are taking smaller contracts. You know, you got to look at guys like myself, or there's sort of been a major shift in how much drivers are getting paid, how they're getting paid. Obviously, that changed with the new agreement we had a couple years ago. The drivers started taking more of the purse. At least I don't know everybody's contract situation, but there was a less of a base and more purse driven. So, but one thing that's changed is you got a lot of young guys coming in, being offered and accepting contracts that are a fifth to a tenth of what veterans are getting paid, and that's money that can go into the team. You know, these sponsors aren't giving teams the money that they used to. So the owners, everybody's got to take a little cut. Everybody's got to dial it back. Everybody's got to realize that they have to accept some of that fallback and difference. So, and that's same with the drivers' contracts. So a lot of these veteran drivers are getting paid multiple $1 million. A lot of these young guys coming in are getting a fraction of that. Well, when you look at, you got a car, right? Say we're all sitting here with race cars, nobody to drive them. You got a guy that's you think's got a lot of talent, very young, a lot of potential. Then you got a veteran who's established, but he wants 3, 4, 5, 6 times the amount of money. I mean, you're going to go with the younger guy because it's a better deal financially. So that's something that I think is transitioning in the sport. The salary, it took a while, but when we had our major reset with the when the recession hit and everything sort of changed and value of everything changed, the same thing, the trickle down effect I think is coming through the driver's contract. It's making a big difference in the decisions these owners are making. And if you don't have, you know, if you can't pay a driver $5 to $8 million a year if you ain't got but $10 million worth of sponsorship, you can't. That ain't gonna work. You know, guys aren't getting $20, $30, $40 million a year on sponsorship. Owners aren't getting that anymore. Drivers are having to sort of understand that change is coming down the pipe. If it hadn't happened to them yet, it's going to happen to them. And the young guys, they don't know any better. They want to race. They're taking whatever they can get. So it's a great. That's a good change for the owners, and I think I felt for a long time, somewhere in a quote somewhere years ago, I do believe I admitted to being overpaid. But I wasn't gonna complain. So it's a shift. I think that's a shift that's gonna be better for the sport. You know, get those salaries in a realistic range for how much money that we have from corporate America. All those things have to change. You know, driver salaries included.
All right, we're going to wrap with 2 more questions right here in the purple hat. Sorry, and over to the left.
Yeah, it's easy for me. All them drivers out there in the garage are going to say, that's easy for him to say.
Go ahead.
Hi, Dale. This is Anthony Bristol with the International Motor Racing Research Center. I was wondering if, but I know this is your last season in Cup racing, but will you make any guest appearances in Cup Series or maybe Vintage or do a 24-hour deal like Jeff Gordon did or anything like that?
Nah, I don't have any plans to do anything like that. No real curiosity of doing much of that. I'm going to run 2 Xfinity races next year. We haven't really sat down and really talked about where or whatever. I did like I've never ran that Iowa race, and I think that's amazing what that track does and be able to run multi-grooves there. It looks a lot of fun. I'd love to, I tested there one time a long time ago when me and Truex were teammates at DEI, but I've never been back, and I think it'd be fun to go there. But we got to figure out where we're going to run them 2 races, and that's really all I have planned. We have our late models, and I've talked about, half joked about going and running them one time, but that's something. If I did anything outside of the Xfinity stuff, it'd just probably be messing with my late models or something somewhere. Outside of that, I really don't, have much interest, to be honest with you.
All right, we'll go right over here to the left.
What role has Watkins Glen played in your development as a driver over the course of these years?
Yeah, it's played a big role, actually. I remember before we ran the Xfinity races here, my father and DEI making an investment in me and Steve Park and sending us to Bondurant to be schooled by Cooper and some of the best instructors in road course racing. That was an incredible experience for me as a young guy at that time, and it was quite common for a lot of folks to go to Bondurant and get a little bit of tutoring. It was really helpful for me. Obviously, we came here and had good speed and ended up winning. And we did all that preparation strictly because Glen was the only track we had to run, road course racing. So it also introduced me to a lot of individuals that I've become great friends with and admire. Boris Said and Ron Fellows and Andy Pilgrim, a lot of the guys that I leaned on for advice and support when it came to getting around road courses. I was introduced to those guys due to our involvement in racing here. It's not as technical as Sonoma, so you have a little bit of time when you screw up a corner. You really don't go into another corner. At Sonoma, when you mess up one, you mess up the next 3 or 4. It just because everything they all really kind of have to work together. You have to hit each corner right to get through that series of directions, and it's at the Glen. It's a little more simpler, and that's good for guys that are inexperienced to road course racing. You go down a straightaway, you turn. You go down a straightaway, you turn. I mean, you sort of get to think about what you're doing wrong, and you can see how to improve it, see how to fix it. So I never came here as intimidated by the track as I was maybe Sonoma and some of these other places. This track to me was something that was achievable if I applied myself, and I think that we certainly worked hard at it early on, going to Bondurant and getting to know all those different guys I named to learn what we could. But it's a great, if there is a road course that I think the Cup cars can get around pretty good, this would be it. The Cup cars weren't really built for road courses, but this place here is easy to get around. I don't want to say it's easy to get around. It's hard to explain, but I think for a young guy, it's not improbable to come here and learn and figure it out. If you're not a road course racer or don't strive to be great at it, you can still, I think, come here and do really well with the right equipment and the right, applying yourself outside the car to become as good as you can at road racing. Sonoma, on the other hand, is not a car. Our cars get around very easily, and it's a handful to help your team and figure out what you need in the car. But here it's a little bit different. So I like coming here, and I like the series coming here. The weather's always really pretty good, and the fans support this place consistently. So it's a good stop.
All right. That's it. Thanks,
Thank you.
Dale, and good luck.